You're saving it for somebody. I'll stand up. You're silhouette.
Are we live yet? We're not live yet. Tell me when we're live. Other than for you all, Peggy, camera here. Thanks for tuning on to the live feed. We'll be starting in 2 minutes. Too organized. Right. That's not the Democratic way. Okay, back further.
Hi. Hi. How are you? It's me.
Awful pictures are put out here.
I'm the Kennedy.
Good to see you
Welcome to everyone that's decided to join us. Thanks for being here. To the media and others who are watching on the live stream, welcome. I'm Dan Parsons, Public Relations, and Bob Krist for Governor. For the live stream audience, if news media have questions, there's a function on the live feed that you can ask questions. We'll try to get to as many of those as we can. And so we can keep everyone on schedule. Mayor Beitler, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're feeling as good as I am about this particular special event today. It's my privilege to welcome you all to the event, to welcome all of our honored guests to the event, and to say thank you to Bob Krist for being here, for doing what you're doing. And if I can just take a couple of minutes, I'd like to make a couple of comments on what this means to me. One of the great honors of my life, as many of you know, was serving in the Nebraska legislature. It was indeed the citadel of good government, a place where good people from across the state came together and reasoned together and found solutions to problems. It was a place where partisanship was intentionally and consciously set aside so that the focus was on the correct outcome, helping the people of Nebraska achieve their dreams. I fear that we have lost our way, and that the great dreams of our ancestors, including the old prairie populist George Norris, who, as you know, was the father of the unicameral, I fear these things have been forgotten. Today, Nebraska's legislature is not the same institution that I served in. Nebraska is not, in my opinion, on the right track. We need a problem solver. We need a strong leader who's not afraid to tackle the tough issues. We need a leader who can and will reach across the aisle and really talk cooperation to Republicans, to Democrats, and independents alike in a genuine effort to unite Nebraskans. Bob Krist is that leader. When he was fighting for prenatal care, or initiating the changes in juvenile justice, that are keeping our kids out of detention. He didn't do so as a Republican or as a Democrat. He fought for these issues as a Nebraskan because they were the right thing to do. Bob Krist, in my opinion, will be a governor who stands up for common sense and against partisanship from either side. He will be a man who will look at Nebraskans in all walks of life and ask, how can we help this woman or this man achieve the promise of the good life? That's why today I am proud indeed to be in support of Senator Bob Krist as the next governor of the state of Nebraska.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Al Davis, former senator from District 43 in the western part of the state. I am very proud to be here and to support my friend and former colleague, Senator Krist, as the next governor of the state of Nebraska. I had the pleasure of serving with Bob Krist in the Nebraska legislature from 2012 to 2016. I could always count on Bob to ask the tough questions and hold the administration accountable and represent the Nebraskans who otherwise had little voice at the table. Senator Krist has been a strong defender of the disabled, the poor, and the disadvantaged, and he's been at the forefront of many legislative battles to stand up for those who aren't often represented on the floor of the legislature or in the rotunda. I've been impressed with his passion and his dedication that he brings to issues which are important to him, and we became good friends while sitting in the same back row in the legislative chamber. We had many conversations through the years about the needs of rural Nebraska, the struggles farmers and ranchers have in dealing with Nebraska's high property taxes, and the problems of declining and an aging population in our small communities at the same time that services are being eliminated there. I think Krist is the only candidate who will take an interest in the lives of every Nebraskan and not just those living east of Elkhorn. We need someone who isn't afraid to take a stand on something when he knows it is right, and Krist is the man who will do that. Krist will work hard to make Nebraska competitive. During Governor Ricketts' term, we've lost two of our major corporations. I didn't see Governor Ricketts working to keep those entities in Nebraska, despite all of his claims about growing Nebraska's economy. I'm very proud to be the person who introduces Senator Krist to you, and we are going to be proud to have him be our next governor here in the state of Nebraska. Thank you.
So first of all, special thanks to Peggy for 38 years of support, and especially now, Mayor Beitler and special guests. 2 weeks ago, with the help of Mr. Dave Domina, I filed a lawsuit in federal court asking the governor's law to change the system to block independent candidates' access to the ballot be declared unconstitutional. For the sake of future candidates, we are hopeful the most restrictive law of its kind in the United States will be struck down. We will continue with that lawsuit. As you all know, we have also explored the idea of forming a third party in order to gain access to the ballot. We've said from the beginning that we will look for the most effective and efficient way to get on the ballot and provide Nebraskans with a choice to the failed leadership of our current governor. So let me define pathway to success. Yesterday, I officially became a proud Democrat. And thank you for the warm welcome. I will soon file with the office, for the office of governor with the Secretary of State's office as a proud member of the Democratic Party. And should our party choose to do so, I would be honored to accept the nomination of the party as a candidate to become the next governor of the state of Nebraska in November. Today, we start a new journey, a journey to unite all Nebraskans towards a common goal. To that end, just this past week, our party leadership announced that independents are welcomed and encouraged to vote in the Democratic primary elections. Thank you for that leadership. I'm proud to follow the traditions of people like Mayor Beitler, who are known as party members, but known first as strong, nonpartisan, and principled leadership. I was appointed by a Republican governor. I'm sticking to my script today, you'll notice. I'm not going to do that, but it's important today. I was appointed by a Republican governor, but upon walking in the doors of this nonpartisan unicameral, I put my voter registration away and worked for the past 10 years with Democrats, Republicans, and independents to get things done for the 1.9 million people around the state. Every day of every session for the past decade, I've been proud to stand in that chamber, embodied by the nonpartisan leadership that George Norris envisioned. Voters are fed up with partisan politics that divide us rather than unite us. Partisan bickering in Washington, D.C. has spread to our nonpartisan Nebraska legislature, and our current governor has worsened the situation by personally bankrolling challengers to senators who do not vote the right way or what he would consider to be the right way. Let me be clear. We will not agree on every issue, nor should reasonable people expect to. But with a core brand of strong, principled leadership and integrity and honesty, we will succeed. Our campaign for governor and many other campaigns for offices across the state will focus on getting things done for Nebraskans and bringing all Nebraskans to the table. We have 90 days before the May 15th primary elections to introduce ourselves and our vision to the Nebraskans registered as in the Democratic Party, as independents, and yes, even Republicans. We need to earn their trust and support as we go forward. Before I finish, I just want to thank all of these folks for taking the time out of their day to come and be behind me, because I think that is symbolic of where we are, Democrats, Republicans, independents. Thank you all for being here today. You have my word that I will listen, as I have the past 10 years as a state senator. I will hear Nebraskans loud and clear and understand that they want a reprieve from partisan governance. I pledge to bring all of us together and to focus on unity and problem solving, not ideology, in order to move our great state forward. You won't find me stay to a script very often, but Dan Parsons, I feel his gun to my head. Make sure that I'm with that, I would take any questions you might have.
Well, you do have a challenge, governor that has a lot of money that's running against you and so on, and getting your name recognition. How do you overcome that?
Well, we went on our listening tour around the state, and we flew around. We found that there was much negativity in this present administration, that people were tired of the partisan politics, and people also expressed their concern that their representation was actually taken out by the campaign efforts of the governor. So I'm going to be myself. I'm going to continue to listen, and I'm going to continue to travel around the state. It's an excuse so I get to fly, but which is a good thing. But every place we went, there was a lot of positivity on one side, on my side, and the negative things on the other side. So I will feed on that and be myself and listen.
How about the money aspect of it? How about the funds? Is it going to be pretty hard to raise the kind of money that you're going to have?
Well, I'll quote two movies. Show me the money, right? And, the other part of it is I think that money is not what counts. It's 700,000 votes in the poll. So he may have a rocket ship, as Katurba had in the Omaha World Herald, but I've got a propeller-driven airplane. We'll get it. Yes, sir.
Senator, how do you feel about the DACA issue, and how do you feel about the immigrant people that live in the state of Nebraska? What is your opinion on those people?
I've been a supporter of DACA from the very beginning, and I don't want to often, well, I will just say this. I think national leadership is saying the same thing right now in different ways. Check my voting record. It's been DACA all the way. I believe we need to show them a path to citizenship, which many people don't understand. As DACA status, they don't have that right now. Otherwise, I think those kids would get their citizenship. So I hope that answers your question.
Let's let the news media have first shot.
You talked for
That's
Metaphorically.
you talked for some time about being an independent candidate. Promoted that you're going to be an independent or a third-party candidate. How are voters supposed to take this switch of parties?
In 21 years in the Air Force, I learned one thing, and one thing very clear. You have to have a plan for success. But that plan is something from which to deviate. So if there is a better path, a more clear path moving forward, I needed to take that in order for this to happen today. I think the voters will listen to the man and the people behind me in supporting me, and not necessarily the party. I think that's the major problem with our party system today. So I'm happy to be a Democrat at this point, because I'm happy that they have brought me into a group that listens, and I think we'll move forward in that way.
So when you announced, you said that one thing that separated you from the Democratic Party was the issue of abortion. What's changed?
I don't think we should define ourselves, our parties, or the way that we live our lives by one singular issue, whether it's pro-life, pro-choice, or any others, Roseanne, that you could bring to mind. I know that there will be opposition for some who are clearly pro-choice, but I would remind you that pro-life to me means conception and everything in the middle, taking care of people, to natural death. Some of those things redefine who I am as a pro-life person.
The Republicans made a point about that you might have filed too late to represent yourself as a Democrat, and you might not be eligible to run in the primary. I guess, have you looked at that law, and what's your response to that?
Better minds than mine have looked at that law, and we don't have a problem with it. But thank you, Andrew, for the question. Whatever has been thrown against the wall that won't stick at this point, I'll just let you know. We know what we're doing, and we're moving forward.
So you don't worry about that what J.L. Spray said yesterday was maybe a legal problem. It clouded the Democratic primary.
I stopped listening to J.L. Spray a long time ago. Not to be flippant. Back in the back.
As you well know, Democrats have had troubles in the past winning statewide races. What's going to make this campaign different than the previous failed governor races that we've had in the past few years?
These people, the support I'm getting, the way I live my life. You have 10 years of my voting record to measure, weigh, and judge. I don't think you've had a candidate like that, at least at this level that I know of, for many, many years. So we're going to win this. We're going to win this.
What or who were the major influencers in your decision to change?
No.
Take full credit.
That's what I'm afraid of. No, Peggy and I talked at great length about the best pathway to success, and I think without her encouragement to begin with, I wouldn't have been on this pathway anyway. That and my trusty clergy advisor, who, when he texted me just about 24 hours ago, he said, "I'm running out of Republican friends." So I've taken a lot of guidance from Father Ryan Lewis in the past, and I will in the future, and Peggy's a big reason why I'm here. Peggy and Courtney, actually.
Take an online question from the media.
Yeah, you want to read it?
Yes, I will. The question is, what are your thoughts on the university budget cuts, and how would Governor Krist handle the budget shortfall differently?
Okay, first of all, I don't think there's anybody in this room that thinks we can cut our way out of a problem like we're in right now. We have to find new revenue. There's no question about it. I will do everything I can to put new revenue into the system, and I will not make a promise that I will not do everything I can to put new revenue within the system. But having said that, we're living in an era where those that are in power right now want to cut. I'll stand there again and try to defend the university system. I believe we have some of the best leadership in the university system, the colleges, the community colleges across the state that we've ever had. And to ask Hank Bounds how far you can go before he has to raise tuition and then go further, so the regents and President Bounds were forced to do that, is wrong. If you look at what the university does for this, and education in general, what the university and colleges do for this state and the revenue that it brings in, it's equal, I think they're saying now, to $7 million, I believe is the number they're throwing around. We have to restore the funding to the university and the college systems, and we have to do that. And we have to do that by allowing leadership in the university to tell us what they need. Another thing I learned in my time in the Air Force, if you take care of the people will take care of you. Put good people in good positions, my vernacular, and get the heck out of the way, because let them do their job. And that's the way I would approach things differently.
Other media?
Could you clarify what you mean on new revenue?
Sure, let's talk about internet sales tax, which I think is not extremely popular, but people are not fighting back on it all over the state. They just don't want to have to keep a spreadsheet and pay their own taxes. They would rather have a nexus. We'll look into that. Senator Wayne and I have been working for a while here on trying to get a new cash crop for the farmers, ditchweed. We desperately need to look at that industrial hemp across the board and quit this silliness, calling it something that it's not. Ditchweed, as you refer to it, is a huge Canadian product, billions of dollars in Canada. And if the things that we make out of that product are as productive as they say it is, it's probably $1 trillion industry within the next 3 to 5 years. But we got to start someplace, right? Okay.
Let's try to get the news media questions first. Here's another online question, Bob, from the news media. Will you campaign in rural Nebraska? How will you reach out to rural Nebraska?
I'm going to fly all over the state. I'm going to use it as an excuse. And whoever sent that question is, invite me to your town, and I'll make a point to be there. I have a job to do over in that capital, and I'll be sticking pretty close to the 1st and the 2nd districts, CD 1 and 2, for the next 3 months probably. But after the session is over, I'm here to visit. So please open your door.
Other news media question? One non-media question.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Vaughn.
Okay, you mentioned industrial hemp. How do you feel about medical marijuana?
I supported all the research from the floor of the legislature in terms of empowering the University of Nebraska Medical Center to conduct research, and the research is going very well. I support a controlled substance of medical marijuana. I think we need to do it the right way. We need to have the right distribution process. We need to have the efficacy and the dosages looked into very closely. I will be a supporter of medical marijuana in the state, but we can't do it halfway. We've got to do it in compliance with and work. I have so many, Peggy and I, have a daughter who has so many friends that are affected by autism in one way or another on the spectrum. And it's a proven fact. So we need to make it available for the citizens of the state that need it. And by the way, I don't know if you've heard, but we have an opiate epidemic in this nation. And that by itself is a reason to look at alternative medicines. Thanks for the question.
Let's do one more online question. I don't know that you can answer this entirely on behalf of the Democratic Party. Here's the question. How does the Democratic Party feel about your endeavors to cut Nebraska property taxes, especially with concerns over Nebraska's budget shortfalls?
We're not going to solve the property tax issue until we rebalance the three-legged stool. The income tax, property tax, taxes that we have, and the sales tax have to be rebalanced. And I'll give you a good example. Less than 5 years ago, we were giving somewhere in the neighborhood of 25% of income tax to education. And we cut that out. Why did we do that? Because the budget went like this and we had to take money from different places. We need to restore that money that was coming in part to education. Education and funding education, K through 12, actually 0 through 21, will be one of my priorities. And if we can fund education correctly, it will take care of some of our property tax issues. I've met with groups all over. I've met with groups all over the state, and I like to use this phrase, people who have been there, done that, and worn that t-shirt. and they've got great ideas. We just have never looked at them as a whiteboard approach going forward. So that's on my agenda, big time.
We take care of all the news media. Any last questions? Thank you very much for coming. I know Bob will stick around. Thank you. Go ahead.
One last thing. For those of you who don't know me, my door is open. You need to get to know me. I'm going to ask Brent Comstock to go back in the back room and grab some cards that I forgot to bring out here. My fault. They have on the back of them our website, our Facebook, and contact information, and my mobile number. So give me a call. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.